So this is our first try. We can do it while we walk. Let's do that. Let's do it because we have the colors and stuff. So.
Easier for you.
Yeah. Hola al mundo! Yeah. Hello to the world. We're here in Guatape. It's a small city outside of Medellín. It's about an hour and a half, 2-hour drive outside of Medellín, and we came here to see La Piedra del Peñol. This area is actually a reservoir, and so there's a large lake. There's small bays and inlets, and that's actually where we stayed on a cabin called Momot. Was that the name?
Exactly, yeah, Momot.
Guatape es una ciudad pequeña, pero es muy popular por colombianos y la gente por vacación. So this is a very small city, but it's very popular for restaurants and food and dining and just exploring. There's a lot of colors. It's very beautiful. So we're going to check it out a little bit.
You can show there's the parish,
Yeah.
like there's the parroquia, for example, and then it's like the main,
Get out of the street.
the main building of like the main plaza.
Was it making sense though? Was it right?
Perfect.
It was? Okay. Yeah.
Guatape is a very like old colonial style. It's very traditional Colombian town. So you will see in here in the decoration, they tell the story of the place. It can be like the story of the place here in the Zócalos, the decoration, or it can also be their own style, whatever they want to put there. Flowers or like what the person does for living in their house. Lots of colors, but it also has like a history of like Spanish heritage, but very Colombian as well in its decoration and its style.
Guatape is a very popular tourist destination. The colors, the streets, it's very big on places like Instagram, and you can do tuk-tuk tours for a few dollars, a few US dollars. But places like this, it's a very beautiful city. It's very Spanish colonial influence. Like Barbie was saying, when you see the colors, the architecture, the streets, the decorations, and the flavor, just the place itself is very Colombian. Walking along the main waterfront here in Guatape. It's very popular for kayaking, boating, boat tours. You can actually see the abandoned and destroyed former home of Pablo Escobar. It's part of also a helicopter tours they offer as part of the sightseeing around La Piedra del Peñol. There's a massive geological feature. It's a giant monolithic rock, Piedra del Peñol, and it's insane. It's a stair-step journey all the way across. But next I think we're gonna see where we're staying, the Momot cabin, and they offer kayaking out of there too, so we're gonna check that out.
Guatape was an awesome destination and a definite must-stop if you're going to be renting a car in Colombia and Medellín. It was the first stop of many on a massive road trip we did through Colombia, driving more than 1,300 kilometers. The stone has a bit of a funny story, with a giant G painted on the side of it and an unfinished U, seen from the helicopter tour. Apparently, since ownership of the site was disputed between two towns, Guatape and El Peñol, the residents of Guatape decided to settle it by painting their name on the rock in the massive white letters, which was noticed quickly by the people of El Peñol and stopped, leaving behind the giant graffiti. Guatape is actually a Quechua word meaning stones and water. Quechua is a pre-Columbian ancient language from the Peruvian Andes, still spoken in Peru today. Guatape was also the name of a tribal chieftain of the area, and the town was named in his honor. Now a popular tourist destination, especially being a short distance from Medellín. The reservoir was created in the 70s from a hydroelectric dam project, and waterfronts became valuable real estate. Valuable enough to appeal to the once richest man in the world, drug lord Pablo Escobar. The government seized and destroyed his lakefront home that you could tell at one time was pretty extravagant. Kayaking around in front of it was a trip to think all the insane situation in the 80s and 90s, the drugs coming out of Colombia, really happened and affected generations of families. The conditions the days we were there were perfect, and we even saw a fork-tailed flycatcher roosting on a tree in the middle of the lake. Exploring town, getting some kayaking in, feeling the sun, and driving back into the city, we decided to give one more activity a chance, the helicopter tour, and it was awesome. Even for just a short ride, around 20 or 30 minutes, you can see the sheer size of the reservoir and all of the bays and inlets that it creates. The helicopter circles El Peñol, and flying over the little town and colored buildings and farms really gives you a sense for just how lush and beautiful Colombia is. Although La Piedra del Peñol is pretty gigantic, just climbing the stairs is a feat in itself, and once you get to the top, you'll want to stay there for a minute. Give yourself a good amount of time and bring some water, but the views are amazing. Once we'd had our fill of the amazing vistas and tourists taking selfies, we grabbed a couple souvenirs and started the stair climb down before heading back to the cabin. We had a long ways to go, so we were excited to jump back in the car and get on to the next stop of our Colombian road trip.